Welcome to the Purple Rock Survivor podcast, coming to you live from the very sunny West Coast with its weird time zones and people wearing jackets and 60-degree weather like a bunch of freaks. I am John, making a very rare video appearance, and my co-host is Andy. We are talking today. We're coming in the afternoon today. We're talking about Survivor Advantage Island, episode 7, where it's like Oprah just passing out advantage after advantages up in here. Andy, I have not yet seen the internet reaction to this because I was late watching the episode, but I can only assume everyone is super happy that the game is now littered with advantages. Am I right?
They're not unhappy, to tell you the truth, and I do want to talk about that. That I think a lot of people did like this episode. There might have been some people that are upset about seeing, say, a villain go home a little earlier, especially in contrast to a nothing. But no, I don't think a lot of people are complaining that suddenly there are idols and advantages, and I'm sure that has nothing to do with the fact that they enjoy the people who receive them.
I don't understand your argument at all. Are you saying that it might be situational, that they somehow weigh whether they like the outcome when deciding if they like the advantages?
I would never dare suggest such a thing, because I know when Jeff Probst suggests such a thing, it gets people angry. But yeah, nobody's out there being like, oh God, the season's ruined, Michael has an idol now. Nobody was like, and Wendell too, I hate it. No, I mean, yes, of course I'm suggesting that. I'm suggesting that when you complain that there's too many idols in the game, what you're really complaining about is, I don't like that Ben was the one to get them all. Because certainly not a lot of people are retroactively complaining that Amanda Kimmel found an idol super late into Micronesia. That's not how it works. We like it when the idol falls into the hands of the people who will hopefully represent our interests with it. And that's what happened this week. And thus I enjoyed it.
Yes, I enjoyed it a whole lot, and I just know that you assumed that I was going to, because I was specifically avoiding all my DMs because I was like, I don't want to get spoiled on anything. And then I asked you, just in case, hey, is it cool to check my DMs because I don't want to get spoiled. I haven't seen the episode yet. And you're like, nah, it's good.
And then I kind of spoiled you.
The first DM that I have is like, hey, we're going to need a picture of that relic from this episode. And I was like, oh, I know the relic. I'm very excited now. And so the 5 minutes into the episode, we should give a quick profanity warning because guess what we're about to talk about. If you got kids around, F-bombs are about to drop because we are going to talk about kids. Are you out of the room?
They're not in this room, despite the way it's decorated.
I thought that was your new bedroom redesign. We're going to talk about the fucking stick, which makes its triumphant return to Survivor after all these years. It like 5 minutes into the episode, totally on board because the fucking stick appeared. Like at long last, it is back on Survivor, and I could not be happier.
Yeah, I went back and forth of whether I should do that and spoil it. And then I thought, it's like, I'm being vague, right? I was just like, the relic, of which there were, 3 this episode. Right. Because originally I was going to ask you to get a screenshot of Chris Noble, because of course. And I didn't want you to have to watch it twice. So it was just like, I need him to do it beforehand. And I'm like, if I write this, he's going to think it's the stick. And then I'm like, well, there are other relics, there are other things. And also it's like, it's 5 minutes into the episode and it's not going to make him upset. And you weren't upset, right? You were excited, right?
I was very excited, and I'm turning my phone off. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was, of course, very excited. It's one of my favorite moments in Survivor history. And it's like, as soon as I saw the shape of that package, I just had to be a better way to phrase that. Yes. I knew like we might be getting the fucking stick, and just
as soon as I know he pulls out this cool thing, I'm like, it's wrapped up. It's like, I actually yelled. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And my wife was like, shh, because, we just finally gotten the kids to bed.
Right.
And it was just like, it's the fucking stick.
It's so exciting. I mean, there are very few things in Survivor that I'd be more excited to see come back. And I think that the problem was we've been like teased about it in previous seasons. I think like Cambodia, there was a reference to, we're going to bring back some crazy idols. They won't ever look like each other. They might not even look like idols. And it was like, we're going to get the fucking stick. No, what a tease. It's been this many seasons later. We finally got it back and couldn't be happier. I love how they tried to work in this whole narrative of this is cursed and blah, blah, blah. whatever. Who cares? Whatever narrative you needed to wrap this thing in, the fucking stick is back.
Yeah, and obviously the history of the fucking stick is that it was a fake idol, and now they're making it into a real idol, which I think has finally given me an answer to the question that people always like to pose to me, is like, when is a fake idol useful? And it turns out it's like when you make them and then you let it sit on a fake island for like 10 years.
Yeah, give it a good decade to marinate.
That's right. And then suddenly it's useful because that's about it. Now, again, the caveat I always have to mention is it's useful in being entertaining to us sometimes, as in the instance of Micronesia. They're just not useful strategically. And now suddenly it might be, because it's actually an idol with the power to actually cancel out votes. Now, the one worry is when they were talking in previous seasons that, they would make some idols look so, underwhelming that people might think that they were fake. Is that like, that'd be fun. Maybe somebody would discover it and like, whatever, this is nothing. Whereas I think because of this season, if the people saw Michael's fucking stick.
Yeah, I almost went there earlier and went, nope.
Oh, I'm diving right in, phrasing. Is that, if you're a fan of the show, you'll know like we did. We knew as soon as it was still wrapped in parchment. Now, obviously, it's because we were told that it would probably make an appearance. But like, if Kellen sees that, she's not going to be like, this is dumb. She's going to be like, this is the fucking stick.
It's the fucking stick.
I want Michael to pull the fucking stick out of his pants.
This is going to be so bad. I'm glad the children have left the room for this.
Yes, especially this room. I really shouldn't be saying that. And if people are wondering, I decided since we were doing this in the middle of the day, I would take advantage of both natural lighting and a more interesting backdrop. So I'm in my son's room, and then you guys, you can probably turn off the podcast now because my children aren't home. They're not going to be walking in. So they're not hearing me talk about an 18-year-old's fucking stick.
Yes, and you have all the Easter eggs that you love to include in the background of your shot. I do too. I don't know if you can...
I have one person here for the video. No, not quite person. He is not interested. Despite he's like, what, sticks? There's something he'd like to do with a fucking stick.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll just leave that one there. Yeah, so I, of course, have the tastefully decorated room as well, just for this podcast. Hidden in the back, I'm sure you can find all the Easter eggs I've got here. But we should probably talk more about the episode. The fucking stick is as great as it was. Other things did happen in this episode.
Well, before we move on, I did get a question from our friend, kinda staffer, Taco. He's like, would Michael benefit from making a fake idol that looks like the fucking stick, under the assumption that there's a merged tribe idol in play? When you move to a new beach, you can maybe replicate the David J. idol business and hold off at least one person from idol hunting. Two things. One, you're goading me, and I know what you're doing. Two, I mean, obviously this would be the idol you could probably fake, and by making a fake one, it at least wouldn't have the burn marks. I think it's a dead giveaway that this is the official, authentic fucking stick. But no, fake idols are stupid. They're useless. And we already saw this season what happens when somebody who has a real idol creates a fake idol. It doesn't actually fool people. And we'll actually talk about that probably this episode. Moreover, it was extremely lucky that David was able to fool the exact one person he wanted to fool by hiding an idol. And now he's going to put it there and then this is going to keep one of 15 people off the trail of idols. No, stop making fake idols more than they are, which is funny moments, trolling people, and now excuses to just make every lewd reference to a fucking stick I can.
Yeah. I mean, if you think if Chelsea stumbles across the fucking stick, she's going to be like, oh, I know this is real because I'm a huge Survivor fan. Like, man, come on. The odds of that, or the percentage play there is just so low. Now, I would say what Taco's probably getting at is that Michael can at least wrap it in the parchment and all that, because that's the extra thing you now need for fake idols, which still haven't done anything, even with the certificate of authenticity. But frankly, if it was a real fan, they'd be like, this isn't the fucking stick. There's no burn marks. See? That's the key. Well, you say that, but I mean, you kind of have had to see it on Twitter since then, because the producer, the EP, Matt Van Wagenen, I said his name right, I think, he's actually circulated pictures of it, like that he said he rescued it from the fire, and you can see the burn marks on it. I mean, it's possible that people forgot that it got chucked into the fire. Who knows? I mean,
Or
I
as you
didn't.
say, like a Chelsea wouldn't have known.
Right.
Or, I don't think Desiree would have known, despite the fact that I've been led to believe she's the most amazing player ever. She clearly had never heard of Oolong this episode.
Yeah, she's maybe not as up on her Survivor history as you'd think.
I mean, she's about as up as I think. So nice try, Taco, but no, that wouldn't be a good play. It'd be a waste of time. Actually, I wanted to get back to a thing we were going to discuss, and then obviously we had to jump at the fucking stick and jump right back on that. But, as opposed to, did you find that your interest in the potential outcome of this episode was maybe heightened when Michael found the idol, regardless of before we even knew it was what we knew it would be?
I mean, to a degree, it helped. I don't think that I was super invested in Michael sticking around anyway. So
for me, it's less about Michael himself, but more like, maybe something actually will happen this time.
Right. It's the potential for preventing a pagonging that we've just been getting episode after episode. So that was at least intriguing. I don't know. I did get the sense, though, as soon as he found it, I was like, I guarantee you he's not going to have to use it now. And I was right. It was just a hunch. I had no idea.
See, for me, I was like, okay, whatever. This is going to be another episode. And then when he found that, I was like, maybe not. Maybe they will go, because obviously they've gone a lot. And I was immediately interested before we'd ever got to the scene of him unwrapping his fucking stick. And I'll just say, if you were like that, if your interest was piqued at that moment, don't ever complain about the existence of idols in Survivor, because that's why they exist, to open up potential avenues of interest in a game which has demonstrated many times, especially early on and frankly recently, that players will often default to the most easy strategy unless forced to do otherwise. That's why they exist. And that's why they will continue to exist. Longing for a time before idols is longing for a time of a lot of pagongings. And maybe some people are into that. I would say that if that's what the show had been, we would not be at season 30 something. I don't even know what season 37?
36? We're the big Survivor fans that are podcasters. Of course, we know.
Numbers are not my thing. And you don't have your spreadsheet in front of you.
That's
You're
true.
on a semi-vacation.
In front of me.
But yeah, that's why idols exist. So if you found that it was suddenly a little more interesting to just that the obvious boot wasn't going to be the obvious boot on at least one tribe, and now thinking of the different things that could happen, that's why. And sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes an interesting person gets it. Sometimes the person that is in charge of the status quo gets the idol, and then it eliminates the possibility of interest. Sometimes the same person gets it over and over again. But sometimes this sort of thing happens. When Wendell gets it, are you excited because you like Wendell and now maybe he can do something in the game? That's why. It just the game needs these things, because otherwise it just becomes about numbers.
Yeah, I did love that.
Sometimes it becomes about people being such massive assholes that they just get sent home otherwise.
I love that Bradley really underlined it with I'm kind of a dick. And everybody's like, yeah, I can concur with that statement. Even our boy Donathan, who finds the good in everyone, was struggling there. I'm not sure about this Bradley kid.
I don't think he was struggling. I think he had decided.
Yeah, and Donathan is a ray of light, and I'm sure, as I said, can find the good in anyone. But being around Bradley that long probably kind of wore on him a little bit, and I'm pleased that it wore on everybody else just as much as it did for Donathan.
Yeah, so some people were on the fence of whether they were actually happy about saying goodbye to Bradley. And I will say, last week, I was like, I don't want Dominic to take him out because, opportunity to insult things that my fans enjoy. But no, I was all for it. I was excited that Bradley got taken out. And I know some people were like, we lost a great villain. I don't know that the season or Bradley was going to top the moment when Dominic is just doing the standard thing of I'm going to give the apology so that people just tell me everything's okay. And then while Libby is doing the thing, saying everything is okay, he interrupts her to be like, it's probably because you had that coffee. That was just...
Yeah, he just doesn't doesn't want to let it just sit there. Hang on, got to throw my 2 cents in here. Yeah, it is. You did blow it, and I think I can trace the reason back for you. I've been paying attention.
Just like instantly, he's just. I mean, I could almost see where in Bradley's mind, maybe he thinks he's being helpful. Like he's like, oh, and it's not your fault, it's the coffee. But the way he says it, and the fact that he's him, is just like it's totally accusatory. You shouldn't have had all that goddamn coffee, and this is your fault. It is your fault. You're right. And what, like he was such just a massive jerk, and I was glad to see him go. It was satisfying, and frankly, a way I'm not sure it would have been as satisfying in the post merge because then it might have been tied to some level of success or threat. Bradley wasn't taken out despite what he believed in his own exit interviews because he was a threat. Frankly, the things he's still saying, apparently, not that I would subject myself to these, is because you annoyed people and they didn't want to be around you. And that is so perfect.
Sometimes you have to accept what the show shows you as canon. Like, they did not put words into the mouths of these people all around you. These are the things they said about you. And I loved that even, wound's still fresh. He's leaving tribal council. He's giving his, farewell exit, whatever. And he's like, I would have won if I had made the merge.
Yeah, and it's just like he has no idea. He still has no idea, despite being shown every issue he has, just clear as day on television. Like edited television, but it's still there, man. He has no idea that this is the way you behave affects how people feel about you. Now, he's probably heard it many times. Everything he says suggests that he's been told, oh, I know I can be a bit of a dick. Oh, I know that that's a problem. But he doesn't really believe it because he clearly keeps doing it. He thinks he's fine. And think about what he did. He ruined them getting steak.
The thing is, he recognizes it, but I think that he's got that confidence that thinks, yeah, I'm a dick, but people like it. Or, they get over it because I'm so great. And
that's just my sense of humor.
Yeah. They get used to me. Once they know me, they love me. And yeah.
Yeah, and I think some of that's still going on because, the people that he went to the pre-jury trip for are a lot of gracious people. So they were they've been out there be like, oh no, we all found a way and got along with Bradley. In the meantime, they are liking and retweeting a lot of things that trash Bradley. I think, so that's just the thing. But yeah, it's just I love it. I thought that it was just the perfect moment because it was a celebratory moment. They had just won steak. And he still finds a way to just dump all over that. Yes. Just let them bask for a minute, Bradley. That's all Dominic's trying to do. Oh my God, that was an amazing thing. He's let's just do this. It's time to cook a steak. It's just mind blowing.
Bob's cheese.
Yeah, and it's just it had to be now. It had to be sooner. It couldn't be because Bradley was the biggest threat and we had to take him out. It couldn't be that they dragged him along to the end because he knew he'd be such a jury goat. That would have been death for us. And frankly, if it had been that, we probably wouldn't have gotten the same level of glee in the edit of, can you see what kind of asshole this guy is? No, it was because he was an asshole, and I love it. And frankly, if you're wondering why we like Bradley...
Your dog disagrees.
Yes. He's like, no. It's because we were allowed to hate him, and then he got gone. And frankly, the whole time we were hating him, it was obvious that he would get gone.
Yeah, and so was that... I know... You were very invested in the Bradley story. So was that enough comeuppance for you? Did you feel satisfied by that result? Did you get enough juicy Nope. I caught myself that time, though. Did you get enough Bradley material to sink your teeth into? How about that?
Because when I was saying last week, is it it's going to be better if it's a Malolo. But nah, he's so effective. He's so efficient in his dickery that just in this episode, it made us look what a dick he is to Jonathan. Look at what a dick he is to, Dominic. And, that was enough. Chelsea, this barely human person I care about. It was just enough there that it's I'm ready for him to go. And then he was gone. And I like that. And I think that his brand of villainy is classic Survivor villain. And I mean that in more of a true classic sense in that this is an old school thing. This is getting rid of Jerry because she makes life at camp so unpleasant that you're just this might not even be the right move, but I just can't be around him anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it was enjoyable. I mean, they didn't lay it on quite so thick with the comeuppance, but I mean, I defer to you on this one. You were more invested in this story than I was. I did enjoy the Bradley experience, and I do agree with you. Like it's more fun to deflate that bubble before the merge just to prevent the delusions in his head, and they clearly didn't, even with that. So yeah, it's a nice way for him to go out.
He's still talking that Dominic took him out because he was a threat. And look, there's some of that, but I'm not sure you're a bigger threat than people Dominic doesn't know very well that had already voted against him, which gets to the other bigger point is why did Dominic do this? Was it a good idea?
So that's what I was just going to ask you is what do you think about this? Is Dominic flipping on him at this point? And I guess Chelsea too. We barely realized Chelsea exists, but she did as well. For me, you can tell the merge is coming. Dominic especially knows the merge is coming. If he can figure out anything, he can figure out that the reasons that Legacy Advantage says 13 and 6 are because 13 is your merge number. So he knows it's after this vote, you're getting merged. I tend to think he's probably fine to do it. He can always make up the story that Bradley came after them. Maybe it flies, maybe it doesn't. But also, I don't think it's going to be a hard sell to be like, guys, Bradley was kind of a dick, and everybody's going to be like, oh yeah, it's good point.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are befuddled like that. This is just a terrible strategic move. Some people are like, you want to keep Bradley around, and I think that's where it becomes a good decision for Dominic. And I think he gave voice to this in the episode. Dominic probably will not play Survival very well if he has to tolerate Bradley for very long. And I mean Dominic specifically. Dominic is the guy who couldn't keep his mouth shut for one goddamn minute when Chris Noble bailed on the challenge, which was the correct call, by the way. We weren't, I think we leaned that way at the time, but now that we are fully basking in the glory of Chris Noble, we're like, man, he nailed that. Also, when we see later on how badly suited that person was to puzzles, it was the right call by Chris Noble. But then in that moment, Dominic couldn't say anything. And I think it's just that. It was like, if I have to be around this guy, I am going to do something that will hurt my game. So might as well just take it now and deal with it. The other thing is, we
should qualify that will hurt his game more so than Dominic already does himself.
Right. I mean, he doesn't even need that much. Right. But because it's just being around Chris has been hurting his game. So imagine if he had to deal with Chris and Bradley fighting, a war on two fronts. And obviously you could say Bradley's on his side, but he doesn't want Bradley on his side. He can't stand to be around Bradley. He's an emotional person. So I feel like there's value in just that. And not just for Dominic, but in general. If somebody is just that hard to be around in otherwise stressful situations, just maybe don't. Maybe just see what it's like without. Now, obviously, there are some times when you just have to. You got to suck it up and deal with them. But there are plenty of people who are like, oh, no, I can tolerate Abby for a while. And then it was wrong. You couldn't. So, and then where will this put him in relation to the other Navidis? I don't know, man. None of us know, man. So you haven't been around for this, but in comments, a lot of people have been trying to track who's with who and who's with what. Good. That's what comic sections are about. And I think what most people have come to realize is, I don't know, man. Right. Navidi was never put to the test. They never went, obviously, in the first two tribal councils. And then in the subsequent ones, besides that one where they kind of failed the test, but it was a different test because it was a 4-4 situation with Chris Noble out. They never had to go up against each other. There was always an easy vote. So we actually don't know who's with who, how rock solid the Navidi thing is, how much of a sense of betrayal it will be that Bradley went. Clearly, it's not a sense of betrayal to Chelsea. Maybe Chelsea was able to relate that, like, Sebastian's not going to care too much about this. It's just like maybe it'll be really bad. Maybe this will turn Kellen right to Chris Noble, and Dominic will be gone as soon as he's not protected by advantages and idols. Right. But I don't think it's as rock solid as that, and I do think there is value in just getting rid of somebody who's going to annoy you to such a degree that you are not going to be able to play a very strong social game.
Yeah, and there is the risk that, you could have kept Bradley because, again, the merge is coming next. Could have kept him for that vote, help you get out Chris, which is going to be your post-merge target. Once that's done, then maybe you turn on Bradley. But
maybe you can't, right?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe at that point you're locked in, and it's like, oh crap, I'm stuck with this guy now.
Yeah, like if Bradley is so essential to your post game, moves, then you're stuck with him, man. Like you can't just live with him for a bit and get rid of him. It's probably more Bradley's alliance than yours in that scenario. Now, again, maybe Bradley will be that essential to Dominic, and maybe this will submarine his game. But I feel like there are reasons to do it, and I don't think it was just because Dominic thinks poorly. I think maybe it's because he realizes how emotional he is. It's just like just the 6 days with him right now has been intolerable. I can't do more.
Right, and that at a minimum, with my plan of taking out Chris, you need 6 more days with him. Maybe that extra week was that's a bridge too far.
Imagine Bradley at the merge feast.
Oh, yeah, we've
this
seen
cheese
people.
is just not soft enough.
Why would you even pair this cheese with this wine anyway? Like, who picked this menu?
Really, Dominic? You're gonna have another glass? just get rid of him. And if you can't then recover from the loss of Bradley, then frankly, you probably weren't in a very strong position in the first place. And moreover, I am glad you did it, so I'm not going to find too many reasons to criticize you for it.
Look at you being results based.
I will sometimes admit to my biases, unlike other people who clearly no, I hate idols all the time, except when they interest me.
Right. Hey, we got a question from our girl Emma here that I should ask you. She says, Bradley and Kellen were originally on Dominic's side in the battle with Chris, but now how will Dom voting out Bradley affect what Kellen does at the merge? This is kind of what we've been talking about, but let's specifically get to Kellen, because it seems like from the secret scenes and things like that, Kellen and Bradley were actually pretty tight.
Yes, I would say that they definitely were very tight. I would say probably an easy answer would be it will cause Kellen a lot of stress and consternation. And then who knows what she'll do after that, because apparently making decisions in Survivor is really hard for her.
You know what? Here's a bit of praise for the Kellen fans out there, because I know you're desperate to hear some. She is good at playing the odds. Like, she did the right thing the first time she went to Ghost Island. She did the right thing this time when she went to Ghost Island. Both times worked out for her. That is one thing you can unequivocally say. She's done well. She has nailed that aspect of it. Not so much the talking to other humans aspect, but she's got that part down. The games of chance and deciding whether to play said games of chance.
What's annoying about it is how much stress it seems to cause her for what seem to be really easy decisions. Now, to be fair, she's in a higher stress situation than I am, which is a complete non-stress situation. I have no stress. I'm sitting comfortably in my home, judging from my high horse on a lowly rated podcast. But still, it's just it just seems so hard for her. She's near tears, this one was so super easy. Just fucking do it. Right. This is oh my God, what am I going to do? You're going to try to do something. Well, yeah, boredom. I don't care. Just do it. It's so easy. You're risking nothing.
Yes, that's the thing, is you are risking 0 things. If you go to tribal council, there's 3 of you. There's one Michael. It's going to backfire for various reasons.
But that doesn't matter about your vote.
Exactly. Your vote doesn't matter because you only needed 2 to take out Michael anyway. So who cares?
Yeah. I guess I will say, there isn't clarity of whether that lose your vote is if you go to the next tribal council or the next time you go to tribal council. Right. But even there, you have a lot to a little advantage over former Malolos. She doesn't really know the battle between Chris and Dom or anything like that. She heard it a bit from Angela, but you just do it. This isn't that hard. You're not really risking that much. This isn't worth all of the teeth gnashing and all of that. And to your point, she did it. She came to the right decision. The first time it was absolutely the right decision. It just doesn't inspire a lot of confidence that when when the chips are down, when decisions will really need to be made, when, for instance, she needs to play an extra vote advantage and find the perfect time to do it, that she will necessarily do it. Because ultimately she had to make a decision in these, and they were pretty low impact decisions all in all. When it becomes really high impact decisions, such as I'm going to move people against Dominic because he took out Bradley, is she going to do that, or is she just going to find the most comfortable situation for herself?
Yeah, I remain mostly unimpressed with Kellen. I will say, in her very tepid defense here, she knows she's on a TV show. She knows what the producers want to hear. Oh, this is a hard decision. Yeah, I really don't know what to do. I've got to trust my gut, which is my theme that I'm focusing on, is gut trusting. No, that one's safe. So yeah, she's building that Kellen gut trusting narrative, and fine, whatever.
Yeah, but I feel like Kellen knowing she's on a TV show is her like quoting West Nail. Her knowing she's on a TV show is her going boom, right, in a fun, quirky way. Her being like, I don't know if that's giving the producer so much of what they want as legitimately frightened and terrified by the stress of the situation. I don't know.
Little column A, little column B.
Yeah, and frankly, if it is you giving them what you want, you're not giving me what I want, which is stop annoying me with your indecision. Make a choice.
All right. So what did you think of Kellen's choice on Ghost Island? I assume you concur with me that it was.
Yes, that means the whole thing. There was really no choice. You sat it out once. They're giving it to you again. You have, if you believe them, 2 out of 3 chance of getting it right. If you may be a bit of a conspiracy theorist, like some of us, 100% chance of getting it right. Just do it. Yeah, your vote isn't as valuable as a potential thing, especially. And I know we're going into a merger. Yeah, get something. It's time. Do something. This is your reward for getting yourself in such a great position in pre-merge in the first place. You should have been like, yes, I get to play the game. There should have been no stress. Should have been no decision making. Chris Noble would not have worried about that decision whatsoever.
No, Chris Noble does not lack confidence in Chris Noble's decision making abilities, though.
Be a Chris Noble. Don't be a Kellen. That's all I'm saying.
Great life advice. We should talk about briefly, because we do tend to do this. We talk about the advantages the relics that appear from the past.
Well, we had planned to do this, and then there really wasn't that much relics. And one note, early in the season, I did say that maybe a theory is if we get an episode with an idol, we might not get an episode with a game. Clearly not true. Yep. So that, combined with the fact that Stephanie didn't get to play, even though she desperately needed it, and they had one on deck anyway, tells you everything we need to know. Everything on Ghost Island is apparently on the up and up, except for possibly the fact that nobody might ever lose. And the order is set in stone. This is when games will happen. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Sorry, conspiracy theorists. I'm sure they'll find a way around that.
Around that, or they'll find another one. It's just the lens in which they view the world.
Exactly. But we'll go worst to first here. Michaela's advantage is what she found, which was actually not Michaela's. It was used to vote Michaela out in Game Changers. But it was just the secret advantage that was sitting near Michaela and was hidden like it's supposed to be. And Michaela didn't find it. So it's cursed because she didn't find it, I guess.
Yeah, a real stretch to say that this is a cursed item. And I mean, they found it. Obviously, it wasn't good for Michaela that instead of like looking around at her feet, she just sat there fuming. It was entertaining for us and so very true to character for her. Mm-hmm. But in terms of the item itself, it's not cursed at all. It helped Sarah win Survivor. It was great,
Right. If anything, it really, really paid off as a advantage.
Yeah, and like the reverse the curse. What's your reverse the curse? I found the thing you gave to me. Like, to reverse the curse of that thing, there's 2 ways to go about it. One is to not ignore it when it's right nearby you. And of course, the way it's presented, impossible. Or 2, to read the fine print, because the person who was really cursed by this thing was Sari. And we probably don't want to talk about that. But the item itself was good. It really helped, But, and I think what happened here, and some people theorize, is there's at least 2 in there, right? Because we see her pull something out. And if they're actually going with the authentic one, which is kind of weird. Like, I'm going to have to cross Michaela's name out. Like, okay.
Bizarre.
Like an actual thing, like an idol, that makes sense to replay. A parchment that already has somebody's name on it.
She should just cross out the A to vote.
Yeah, there you go. I want that to happen now.
That'd be nice.
The other one probably had like Dan Foley's or Stephen Fishback's. And of course, if you are a little conspiracy minded, maybe each of them had one of those in there, because there was an advantage in every one of those tubes, man.
So here was the fun thing for me. She found the advantage, but then it's not the same advantage anymore.
Yeah, and
because
that probably leads more credence to the fact that, like Dan Foley's was in there or something, because, they couldn't guarantee which of those fake advantages or former advantages would be, but they wanted it to be a specific type of advantage. Yeah, I know. It's like, and it's interesting. This episode is like, one thing graduates completely into being like a real thing, a full evolution. Another thing kind of takes a sidestep. It goes from being in a immunity necklace to immunity idol, and this thing just gets weaker. What are the rules of Ghost Island? What's going on? Where's your internal logic? I don't understand this, continuity you're building.
Yeah, it was odd that just every relic in this episode just happens to change, as you mentioned, one for the better, one roughly equivalent, and then one worse somehow. Like I don't really understand the logic. Whatever, we'll go along with it. It was a stretch that it even was necessarily a curse on Michaela in the first place. So yeah, they were clearly into some manipulation here. There's the manipulation you can cling on to, conspiracy theorists. That's for you.
Some people on Twitter pointed this out, and I think it's a thought. That it's possible that the improvement that this one makes is that she might not need to announce that she's about to go play her double vote. If she can actually just walk up and vote twice, that actually is an advantage over, say, Dan Foley's extra vote, and for possibly even the steal vote. Because the problem with both is announcing your intention that you're about to do it can alert potential idol holders and that sort of thing, which is obviously what happened with Dan.
Yeah. Or
so
potential
maybe that's
targets.
Something.
If you're stealing that vote, the person might be like, oh no, it's because I'm the target. It could send a signal. So yeah, you're right. If that's what they're thinking they're going to do here, is they've tweaked it because they're like, this makes for a better, more entertaining game. Fine. I don't care what provenance you add to the thing. Just make a good TV show for me.
Yeah, it's just, it's like, I think, if that's the case, that you don't have to announce that you're playing an extra vote. As say, I'm guessing Lauren probably didn't. I don't know. Actually, we never know because she played it so badly. Is that this could show that they keep trying to improve it. I think there's something there about giving somebody an extra vote, even though really it's just like you have to be in a down by one vote or tie situation for it to ever really matter. Although I guess Stephen Fishback thought he found a way to make it more than that by splitting votes. It just didn't work out so well for him. And so that just shows that evolution. It just shows that it's probably how the Ghost Island concept can be a little thin, where you're trying to keep forwarding, keep evolving the game of Survivor, making these things more refined and better the way they've done with idols, but also trying to hang on to the past. And it's just both in how they changed this and the way they try to introduce this as Michaela's cursed item. It just kind of reveals that you're stretching a little thin.
Yeah, definitely. The other one that we got was Wendell uncovering the immunity idol that was massive. I don't really know how you smuggle that bad boy into tribal council.
It's somehow worse than James's idol, which was huge. But at least it was a flat item that Michael was able to hang under a suit coat and pants.
Right.
What 18-year-old wears a suit coat? He's not 18.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll get to Michael discussion in a short bit here. But the Wendell thing, he pulls that out and I was like, how the hell are you going to hide? I mean, you can hide that before you go to tribal council, but how are you bringing that bad boy in? I mean,
in a bag, obviously.
Yeah, sure, you bring it in your bag, but even then, it's like a rigid circle that's probably like the size of a basketball. Maybe that stands out.
Yeah, how is he going to take it with him to the merge? Yeah, it's like, hey, dude, what's with your bag? He's like, it's nothing. I just found some awesome twigs that I had to bring with me.
Yeah. Twigs in the shape of a giant circle.
Well, I bent them. I'm working on my new furniture design.
There you go. That's the stretch you have to make.
So let's talk about Eric's idol play. Because the big question people have about this, the discussion is, was Eric's decision in Micronesia the dumbest move of all time?
I mean, we've litigated this a little bit before,
but that's what we're doing now.
Indeed, it's relitigating. I mean, is it the worst? No, only because other things beat it. I mean,
it might have been the worst at the time that it happened.
Yes, exactly. It's like, so-and-so scored a bunch of points in a game, but then later on someone scored more. So yeah, is it the worst? No, because Wu brought Tony to Final Tribal Council. That's a pretty expensive mistake. Eric's was just, you were kind of boned anyway. Phrasing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one thing with Eric is he could have gone on an immunity run. He was already going on a bit. It was lesser competition. I mean, that even doesn't feel right. I mean, Amanda and Parvati are pretty strong.
Yeah, exactly.
Physical competitors.
Especially good at challenges.
But yeah, if you're Eric, you got to feel like you have a shot. And people were probably rooting for you in a bit because they were burned by the Black Widow Alliance. People tend to not like to vote for the people who humiliate them in the game. And the indication to the jury is a lot of them didn't like doing it, but they had no choice. It was one or the other. So it could have cost them the game, but it was still a few moves away. And I understand to a degree. I would never do it. I'm not advocating that it was anything but completely stupid. But what he's trying to do is gain more than just one vote immunity. He's trying to find a place, find some allies. But more than that, he was a young kid, younger than Michael is this season. I don't care what they say. Who was in awe of the people from the TV talking to him, which is why it's an imbalance when former players go up against, non-former players. But apparently it's only an imbalance when those former players are outnumbered like 18-2. But when it's like 10-10, it's totally fair game, and that's the greatest winner of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I found a way
to
make that about one of my rehashed, beaten to the ground arguments. That was stretching like Michaela's advantage stretching.
It was. Hey, so let's talk about, of course, the centerpiece of this episode, the fucking stick that nope, caught myself again. Almost went there. Anyway,
why do you love this moment so much? That's all we really need to talk about. Why is it so great? And we talked about it before, but it's worth talking about it again. Celebrate the fucking stick.
Yes, because I rank Micronesia very highly. You do not, because, and you have legitimate reasons. I will give you this. Micronesia to me is one of the most entertaining Survivor seasons we've ever had, and this is the moment you point to from that season in terms of entertainment, because it requires so many things to happen. One, Ozzy to make possibly the most horrific looking fake idol one can imagine. I am a very lazy person. I think I would have put more effort into that thing.
And now to Ozzy's to defend him, it's because he had to share Exile Island with Kathy, so he didn't have a whole lot of alone time. And I would say, like, the previous fake idol, just a couple seasons before that, the one that inspired him to do that was, Yao Man making a turtle-like thing and writing, idol I on it or something.
Yeah, it's like a coconut with something with paint on it.
The bar hadn't been set by Bob just yet, but it can also not be overstated how stupid this thing looked.
It was a stick, and so the thing that we get,
at least make a design in it or something.
So it says in the episode, it's got a face on it. I've seen pictures. Calling it a face is generous. It has
two holes and called them eyes.
It has like 3 dashes. It's like a dash for an eye, dash for another eye, and I guess a dash for the mouth or the nose. There's a third dash on there. But again, if that's a face, sure. But
that's the key ingredient he had, which every modern Survivor fan would look for, is he did wrap it in some of the idol things.
Yes, I don't even think it was the actual note so much.
I don't know about that note, but parchment, definitely parchment.
It was parchment, yes. Yeah, and so Jason, of course, has to be the one to discover this.
No other player, probably not even Eric, would have bought this.
Even Eric would have been like, what the hell? Jason Siska is the one to discover it. Again, just crazy circumstances align and allow this to happen. Jason discovers it. Jason, probably only one that would believe it's real, of course, believes it's real. He's like, I found the idol. This is amazing. He gives this excited confessional. He's like, yeah, and shows it to the camera. And the producers were just like, gold. This is great. We got it. And so then later on, Jason goes and tells his ally, Eliza, he's like, don't worry. I got us covered. I got the idol. She's like, oh, yes, this is great news.
Essential to involve possibly the most expressive contestant in the history of Survivor.
Yeah, as I said, all these things aligning are just fantastic. Just it was the perfect set of circumstances that made this so entertaining. And so Eliza says, oh, let me see the idol. He says, all right, I got you. It's in my bag. And so Eliza goes to check the bag, and you assume a squad of cameras follows her because...
Well, that's the story that's gone around, is that like everybody on that island was told, you need to get this shot.
So do not miss this.
Yeah, as soon as she goes back to, because I guess he'd put it in her bag, like, I got put it in your bag, so it's there. They're all like, and she could tell like something was up because every camera just starts following her.
Yeah, you are not going to miss this moment. And so they, of course, follow her. Get this as she discovers it, and she's like, what the hell is this thing? What? And so she thinks she's being punked by Jason. Because
that's the only logical explanation.
Yes,
because that's what it was. Jason was the one being punked.
No one thinks this is an idol. She doesn't even believe Jason could possibly think this is an idol. And so she's pissed, rightfully, because she thinks Jason is totally deceiving her, and she thought they had an actual alliance. And so
there's no reason to mess with her. She has no power.
Right.
Just let her get voted out if you don't want to work with her.
And so then she, of course, rounds him up. Jason. Again, I assume just helicopters coming in, dropping in cameramen to make sure you blanket this scene. And audio engineers holding up boom mics, gotta get this. And then she says to him, that's not an idol. He's like, no, it is. You don't think? Well, why not? She's like, yeah, because it's a fucking stick. He's like,
I don't know how many other contestants other than Eliza who would have just dropped that whole, third, the act and forgot about, they were on TV and just been dropping F-bombs in that moment. It was perfect.
And I love that he's like, you think? He goes, no. It has a face on it.
Like the whole thing just came crashing in his mind. Like, what are you talking about? It's a fucking stick.
At first he's confused, like, wait, what? No, it can't be, because there's a face on it. It's 3 lines. I saw it. It's a face. It's an idol. It was wrapped in a napkin. It has to be real.
So that's great. And
the best part was, of course, it does get played at that tribal council, because at that point, why would you not? So,
maybe even producers are like, can you play it though?
Just do it. I mean, please, come on. And so she plays it. Ozzy, of course, cracks up. He knows what this is. And then it gets thrown into the fire. And Ozzy's like, oh, come on, I worked really hard on that thing for like 4 minutes.
And then it indirectly leads to Ozzy's removal in the what I feel is the greatest moment of Micronesia, which was the Ozzy blindside.
Yes.
I mean, the fucking stick was hilarious. I'm not like a robot. I understand that. And, when you say that I don't rate Micronesia very highly, that's accurate. But it's not that I dislike it. I just don't rate it highly. But
right. I have it much higher than you.
Yeah, but it's great. And frankly, it will. It's so great to have it back. We've had so many jokes, so many laughs. This nice little stroll down memory lane. It probably won't be as interesting because now it actually is an idol. But imagine he shows it to somebody who has no idea or no memory, and they'll be like, "What is that? That's just a fucking stick."
It's a fucking stick.
I might just lose my mind. Like that.
He shows it to one of the Survivor fans on the cast, and they're like, that's a fucking stick. I've seen a stick before. I've seen the fucking stick. That's a fucking stick. Although at that point, you're thinking like,
it's actually a real idol. Maybe it's like they gave you a fake idol as your relic, and why are you trying to fool me with the most famous fake idol of all time?
Right. Yeah, but at that point, you probably think like, well, why would they have brought that back? Maybe you're convinced as a super fan, yes, that is an actual idol this time for whatever reason. But thank God it is. I'm so happy.
Honestly, the only way it could have been better is if you probably inverted the two, although it's fun to make jokes about Michael's fucking stick. I bet if Wendell would have found it, it might have maybe been more interested in it. Like he might have gotten a bit more of the joke and the humor. I don't know. They're both fans of the show. It's hard to say who's more of a fan or what, but I think when Michael first saw it, he was probably 9 years old, so he might not have the same reverence towards it. Whereas Wendell, maybe when he's doing his confessional, also would have just kept laughing.
Right.
I mean, he seemed pretty excited to get Eric's idiotic move from a couple episodes later from that very same season. So, yeah, if we would have just been inverse of the finding, although Michael probably needs to hide it more than Wendell. Maybe that one he can't hide in the shorts. All right. So yeah, I took this episode, and that's because new opportunities, new possibilities opened up. An asshole got his comeuppance. That's actually really a big thing I enjoy about Survivor. It doesn't happen as often as it'd like, and that's probably what makes it, when it does happen, a good thing. But you know what we didn't get a lot this episode?
Oh, I know what we didn't get a lot of this episode because I am specifically on the lookout for it in all episodes now.
Not a lot of Chris Noble.
The greatness of Chris Noble. You know who was probably disappointed we didn't get a lot of Chris Noble this episode?
Everyone.
Also, in that group of everyone, Chris Noble.
Well, I mean, he probably only noticed the parts that he was in and was like, that was great. Yeah. I led my team to victory, and I do need to eat more, darn it.
Yes, exactly. I would not generally go to a Survivor viewing party, but if for some reason Chris Noble was hosting one, I might have to go to it. Just because I would want the director's cut of Chris Noble narrating the episode while I watch. That would do it for me.
Yeah, I mean, I would only want to go to a Chris Noble viewing party if it were a season in which Chris Noble was on.
Oh, right? No, I don't want to hear him talk about any other Survivor. He needs to be on the episode for me to be remotely interested.
Now, I suppose it's possible that you go to next season's viewing party, Chris Noble is there. It's possible. It's not out of the realm of possibility that he pauses the TV and talks about how he would have done things differently and how this isn't quite what he would have done. That could be beautiful. But
now I'm intrigued. I'm like, could we get Chris Noble as a guest next season? Is that a thing we could do?
I mean, we don't do guests on this podcast, not because we couldn't, but
I mean, he's a Floridian, I'm a Floridian. I feel like I could make that bond.
I mean, what's tough is that he's not on Twitter, which is another example of Chris Noble's greatness.
Also, another thing I have in common with Chris Noble, I could be like, Chris, buddy, fellow Floridian, not so much with the Twitter. Come on the podcast.
It could be the greatest experience of us having a Survivor talk at us since Tony.
It would be. And also, we'd have to do the video podcast because I know I will watch Chris Noble's face on the podcast and be like, you're looking at yourself right now.
Eyes down the whole time.
It'll be so great, and I will eat it up.
Yes.
So if anybody out there is a friend of Chris Noble, maybe get in touch because that's worth exploring as a possibility.
It could be. You guys could all experience what it's like where Andy just shuts up and lets somebody else talk for a moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's only happened once before, and I'm willing to let it happen again for Chris Noble.
I'd say twice. There was a time when you and Shireen recorded a podcast that almost completely shut me out intentionally.
I don't think we released
that one didn't make it to the air though, so other people didn't experience it. But I just sat there and every once in a while I was like, yep, there's another thing.
We didn't release the whole final 30 minutes of that because you didn't say a word.
Oh, and honestly, I admired it. It was that's the good thing you guys did.
It's like now you get to experience how I live.
All right. I think that's enough for this episode. It's a lot, right?
Sure. Let's do the predictions for next week.
So next week we've got the merge, so we just got to predict one person. And I gotta say, I'm really afraid for Chris Noble because Dominic. So what we're getting is Noble versus Dominic. That's been the story of the season, the story of every Next Time on Survivor. I think it's legitimately a thing that's happening, not an invention of the edit.
Yes.
Dominic should be immune. I mean, obviously, he could mess it up. but you got to feel like he understands that what the stakes are. He understands that he was in a tough position not too long ago because of Chris Noble. You got to think that he would play the thing that he can only play now or possibly in the future, because the future is not a sure thing. Obviously, true for everyone. That's like a very Zen statement, but especially for somebody like Dominic, and especially when you also have this other thing.
Exactly. So that's the thing, is that you have the legacy advantage, which is very restricted. You can use it exactly twice. There's no guarantee you're going to make it to that final 6. Use it then. Use it at 13. Use it at the merge, especially if you know Chris is gunning for you. And I can't believe that even Dominic would be like, no, I'm good. I'm safe. Like, he's going to play it.
Yeah, I mean, the one way you do it is if you feel like you've gotten everybody against Chris. It's like, I don't need it. I've got 9 votes or whatever. But you still do it.
Yeah.
I think he will be immune. And that doesn't speak well for our boy Chris Noble, except that Chris Noble is winning immunity, so I'm not too worried about it.
Oh, that's a good point. That's entirely possible. My thought was that it is also possible because Chris Noble's side will know that Dom does have this immunity necklace. They don't necessarily know about the legacy advantage, but they know about immunity. And so they might be like, we got to pretend the votes are going his way, throw him somewhere else. Dom will play the idol, and then we get him next time.
So I was going to go there, yes. So, of course, first off, Chris is going to be immune. But yes, Chris believes that it's so weird to call him that. Chris Noble believes that Dominic has an idol because of the time that Dominic brilliantly distracted him from the fact that he had an idol by showing him a fake idol. And then, of course, Dominic then tried to get the heat off of himself with people that are still in the game, Libby, Laurel. Jonathan actually wasn't there at the time. By showing them his fake idol, which their response was, yeah, I think he still has an idol.
Right.
And then to get his heat off of that, after everything fell apart, he told Laurel about the idol. So that's what you're referring to, that people will know that he has an idol. Now, there's still some question as to whether Laurel is going to be Team Chris Noble or Team Dominic. Don't know. We've seen her talk with both in vague ways.
Right.
But just Chris Noble himself suspects that Dominic has an idol. So yes, I also think that they're not going to put their votes on Dominic. But then it becomes the big challenge of what's your other target? Who is the Dominic lieutenant you'd want to take out? The only person we really know is connected to him is Wendell. But Wendell has been broing out with Chris Noble for a while. I'm sure Chris Noble has taken his measure of Wendell and says, nah, that guy's with me. Mm-hmm. So who is the other lieutenant? As we said earlier in the episode, we don't actually know what the dynamics are. So I'm just going to take a guess and say it's Kellen. Kellen is the target that Chris Noble goes after to get at Dominic while avoiding the idol.
Okay. And I'm similarly going to say that he's going after some lieutenant. I'll determine that the lieutenant is Chelsea because why not have her go at this point?
No, I mean, they were most recently on a tribe together.
Sure.
One reason I didn't go that is I think Chelsea might be a team Chris Noble along with Sebastian.
It's possible.
But again, who knows and who cares? But yeah, so there we go. All right, I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Don't you want to give a shout out to your bracket winner?
Yeah. When I say that's it, it means it's time to do this thing that we just
of course. Yeah.
But yes, on as part of the Purple Rock Podcast community, which is formed on our website, purplerockpodcast.com, Matt put together NCAA bracket where you pick your bracket, try to win against other PR peers, and the winner was Mike Sweeney, who finished in the 99.6 percentile amongst all ESPN players, so pretty good. Now, I also checked. I think this guy filled out like 6 brackets, so just like mathematically, he gave himself a better chance. Unlike me, who only filled out 1, and I finished 3rd. So,
yeah, sure.
And in between us was Hurley Tennis at 2nd. Congratulations.
Good job, Hurley Tennis. I like that guy. All right. As you mentioned, Purple Rock Podcast is the site. Fantasy standings will hopefully be updated shortly after this podcast goes up. I only watched the episode right before we recorded this podcast. I'm just updating them as I can. Have
you gotten a nap today? Because you woke up on East Coast time, which is a huge mistake.
I woke up at 4 a.m. I am surprisingly not tired, but that's because I had coffee, which maybe you can... I'm looking behind me. Oh! There's
there
my
it is.
coffee. Hey, that's one of them that I had today.
I almost made you put that away too when I asked you to make your bed, but then I'm like, no, your big head will block it. It's fine.
Exactly. Yeah, it did for the most. I figured though it had to be laying around. I think there's one on the other side of the room too. So
plus, you got the energy blast of the fucking.
I did. Wait a minute. I was gonna make a joke about how Michael's gonna ride that fucking stick to the end, and I was like, nah, just.
It looks like you just did. All right, so Twitter, the site is Purple Rock Pod. I am Purple Rock Andy. John is ignoring Twitter for the
yes. And apologies that I did not live tweet. I generally do from the Purple Rock Pod account live tweet during the episode. I was on a plane, couldn't watch it. Wouldn't be very effective to do the Rupert style tweets of, hey, this challenge is difficult looking. So I didn't bother.
I wanted him to do that, only like vaguely. Specific to the cast, like, great move by Chelsea or something. But,
right. Chris Noble looking good out there today.
Yeah, and then if it would have nailed like timing wise, that would have been amazing. But it would have required you to like sign up for a different Twitter host that would allow you to schedule posts, and that extra step tells you all you need to know. It's not going to happen. It
defies the core principles of the Purple Rock podcast, which are never to expend effort.
That's right. You can subscribe to the podcast in various different places, and I think that's about it, right?
Let's wrap this bad boy up with some music.
I could sleep. I could sleep. I could sleep. I could sleep.